All right, folks, so I've been sitting on this rifle for just a little while now, and I've hinted at it at my previous video talking about the A1. So for this one, we're going to talk about the A2 rifle that I have built, put together, assembled, whatever phrase you want to use. So I have been, of course, a little bit on a retro rifle kind of kick lately, and so I put the A1 together, and of course I wanted to put an A2 together. And considering the rather increased availability of retro parts now for ARs like this, I figured this was a perfect time as any to do that. So I've done some, I would say, somewhat extensive testing with this A2, and I'm going to say that when I say A2, I of course refer to the upper on this because I am borrowing a lower right now. Normally this sits on my A4, but I figured since because the A2 and the A4 are pretty much the same when it comes to the lower, at least for my intents and purposes, I figured it wasn't necessary right now to buy yet another A2 style lower just for the upper. So, but for the upper, this has been assembled from various parts. So the actual receiver part itself is a Rock River Armory. Let's see if I can get that here. There's a little mark right there. You can see right behind, right in front of the rear sight actually. RRA, so Rock River Armory. These dudes have been in business making AR parts for basically forever. And it's a very, very high quality upper. I quite like it quite a bit. I bought it assembled, and then for the barrel, I actually went with PSA's H&R brand for this one as well. So this is 223 Wild 1-7 twist, of course, with the you know, fixed front sight here, bayonet mount, all that stuff, A2 flash hider, all the standard things we've all seen before. So I believe these handguards are also original Colts as well from way back when. They look pretty good shape, honestly, for what they are. And those have been sitting around in my boxes for forever, so I figured, you know, give them a home. And of course, it is appropriate for an A2 style rifle. For the bolt in here and everything else, this is another loaner bolt of mine. So I actually got this from, is it Mid-State or Midwest Firearms? They make really cool color kind of variations for all the kinds of AR parts and stuff. So I figured I really like the color blue, so I got a blue colored, well, blue purplish kind of oil slick finish bolt in there. I don't know if it comes across on camera all that well, but when it heats up, it actually changes color into like a purple kind of color, so it's kind of cool. Actually, pretty high quality bolt too. I've had no issues with it at all whatsoever. But of course, if I was going to be more appropriate, I would use a phosphate or a nitrated bolt with this to give it a more correct appearance. I think for service, actual service M16A2s had chrome or phosphate bolts. I think the one I qualified with in basic training had a phosphate bolt. I don't remember. It's been so long since I've qualified on a well, an A2. And so that's also kind of part of the charm about why I actually really like A2 rifles, is because that is, of course, the rifle that I qualified with in basic training way back when they still had A2s. They certainly don't anymore. And when I talk to the new kids who come into the unit and I say, hey, you know, how was basic training? How was boot camp? All that stuff, right? And they're talking about using their M4s with the red dots on them and stuff, and they never even shot the backup iron sight and so on and so forth. So definitely showing my age there when it comes to that. But a lot of changes were made from the A2, or from the A1 to the A2, and most notably for me, it is, of course, the carry handle style, rear sight, and of course the profile of the barrel itself. As you can see, this is not a pencil barrel. This is the government profile barrel, if you want, so it's a little bit heavier and thicker towards the front. And of course the rear sight is changed to this big dial contraption here in the back. So as far as preference for like which one I like more, I'm still gonna say in terms of like functionality and just lugging it around, I'd probably still stick with the A1 just because it is so friggin' light compared to even an A2. A plain Jane A2 like this, you know, it's not a heavy gun by any means, but compared to an A1, it's a significant difference. For the rear sight, I've never come across a situation where I've really needed to adjust my rear sight as much as these rear sights are adjustable for. I mean, you got all kinds of distance markings here on this rear dial, and of course your windage available up here. I've never really run into a situation where I've needed to do that. So, because I kind of remember where my holds are and where my rifle is zeroed for, and it is, done pretty well for me. I've never had any issues with it. So the one thing I do like though about the rear sight compared to the A1 is let's see if I can get this here without hitting the camera. So you have the larger aperture here in the back for the close range, so the 0 to 200 meter yard distance, and then of course you have the smaller aperture here for more precise shooting. I do actually like that feature on the A2 sights, and I actually have used that before. So if I really want to shoot fast, and especially with me being cross-eye dominant, it can be a little hard for me sometimes to get a good sight picture if I'm shooting right-handed versus left-handed here. But that has come in handy if I want to go fast, if I know I'm shooting short range. The larger aperture of the close range sight definitely does make it speedier, more expedient, okay, to get a good sight picture and get on target and shoot fast. Now, if I'm taking this thing to the bench though, and I have all day long, I really do like using the smaller aperture here, and I've noticed that makes a huge difference, at least for me anyways, because my Bushmaster A2 rifle, which I have also reviewed earlier, that has an even smaller aperture, and that allows you to get very, very precise shots, out at distances that you normally probably wouldn't shoot iron sights for. But this aperture on this one is standard, so it's not like a target aperture. It's not itty bitty teeny tiny like the Bushmaster is, but it's certainly small enough to get the job done for long range shooting. So talking about long range shooting though, I actually took I guess some advice from a bloke on the range, and he had on his Facebook post, he was talking about optic mounting solutions for carry handle rifles like this. And one of the things he talked about was there is a certain mount, I think it's normally meant for ACOGs, but it also works for the primary arms, micro prism, like the 1X, 3X, I don't know if they have a 5X yet, but those primary arm micro prisms, which I actually am very, very fond of. I've been blown away by their performance and clarity and everything else about them. I probably should do a review on that at some point. But anyway, so I bought that mount that bloke on the range mentioned, and I inserted it here into my carry handle. And so I ran a lot of this with the primary arms 3X prism here on top of the rifle, and it actually makes for a pretty natural fit, even though it does sit like kind of high and not as far back as I would want, because it has to clear the rear side, of course. You still have plenty of ability to move your face on the stock here to get the proper eye relief you need for a prism type optic, because of course prism optics have a short eye relief. So I mounted that on here and had some fun with it, and it worked out pretty well, honestly, I have to say, for making a non-permanent modification. And then of course I don't think it's as bulky as like taking a pick rail mount and putting it here on the top of the carry handle, because I've seen some people who have pick rails on top of their carry handle mounts. But at that point, I'm kind of questioning, well, why didn't you just get a flat top upper to begin with, right? So I have to kind of remind myself why I got this and why I built it the way I did. It's because I wanted the A2 carry handle kind of classic look. This isn't meant to be my super duper ultra precision match gun running the latest and greatest optics and everything else. It's not really what it was meant for. It was meant to have fun for an A2 style build, and that's exactly what it does. Now, that's not saying that it can't shoot though. This thing has been 100% reliable. Of course, with all the parts, I have everything in it. Accuracy wise, I have not been able to get a sub MOA group out of this particular upper yet. I've used all kinds of match ammunition through it. Using that 3X prism is the most magnification that I've used with this gun. So I could probably tighten it up better if I used a proper scope. But again, I think it would just look goofy having a, pick rail mount here with a big, LPVO or whatever on there. I don't know. It doesn't fit the aesthetic for me. So, given what I have with irons and that 3X prism optic, geez, I've been getting very close to sub MOA, like 1.1, 1.2 inches of match ammo on a nice day. Maybe a little bit windy on some days because it's that time of year here in Arizona anyways. But, still plenty respectable accuracy, combat accuracy. And I mean, I'm getting that 1.2 to 1.1 MOA even with iron sights. So, I mean, to me, that's perfectly acceptable. Like, I could probably take this thing out to 500-600 yards, against human-sized targets and make hits all day long. I'm not worried about it. So it's definitely not the uber bench rest target rifle, but again, it really wasn't meant to be. So I will say I think I have gotten better accuracy out of my A1, which is crazy to think about, but considering I don't let my barrels cool when I shoot them, like when I go to the range, I shoot. I don't sit there and wait. I don't like have this little fan, assembly running through my barrel and everything crazy stuff I've seen at the range. I don't do any of that. I just put ammo through it and I shoot it as I want. So a lot of people will say, like, with a pencil barrel like an A1, you can't do that for any good accuracy results. But for me, I never really noticed a difference, honestly. And with this barrel too being a little bit heavier, I would guess it would resist that a little bit better than the A1 barrel, but frankly, I haven't really noticed any noticeable difference, at least to me. So, yeah, I mean, so it shot pretty well, honestly. Ate all the ammo that I wanted through it. It's gassed very, very well. I mean, with just a standard rifle buffer spring back here, this thing just ejects beautifully. Like, it doesn't matter, like, if I'm running, like, the chrome bolt in this, or I'm running this bolt in here, it doesn't matter. This thing just is gassed very, very well, and I'm quite happy with that, because all the ejected brass it all lands in the same spot, and it's a nice, neat little pile, about maybe a foot wide or so. And I don't know, it's very satisfying when you have a rifle that is properly gassed and tuned, and it just works. So this is overall a very, very pleasant experience, just like any rifle length AR-15 is. And yeah, it's no different with this. So this definitely does bring back some memories for me, and it has a classic, timeless aesthetic, I feel, that comes with these retro rifles that are, of course, being super popular now. And yeah, I mean, I like that I have the whole bevy of the rifles. So I've got the A1, the A2, the A4. I guess you could say, A3 is kind of, it's a weird one, but anyway. In terms of like overall function, aesthetic, the soul of it, I think this build definitely fits the bill for sure. So, but yeah, as far as like all like the minutia of details between A1 and A2, you guys can look that stuff up. I'm not gonna rehash it here. I will say though, another plug for A1 style grips. A2 style grips are absolutely terrible and awful, and you should never use them, and no one should ever let their friends use them either, because they're awful. A1 style grips, that's the way to go, man. That is the way to go. Of course, with more modern iterations of ARs, so like your M4 carbines, Mark 18s, and stuff like that, right? They're going to run all kinds of different grips and furniture and stuff like that. So it's not as hard-coded, I guess, as the full-length rifles, if you want to call it that. So anyway, so yeah, this kind of review has been a long time coming, because I really wanted to give this thing, the upper anyways, a fair shake and see what it could do, and run all kinds of ammo through it and really see if I could get this thing dialed in. So but yeah, I've done about as much as I can with it at this point, but who's to say I won't get a sub-MOA group someday? But hey, we'll see when the stars align. As far as overall shooting experience, though, I honestly, I actually prefer the A1. I really do. Just the sheer lightweightness of it, if that's a correct term, just makes it so much handier, and it just, I don't know, something about it just feels right. The A2, of course, will always have a special place in my heart, 'cause that's the rifle I qualified with. But hey, in terms of just shooting and blasting, I'd probably take the A1 over the A2, just because. So. Anyways, figured I'd bring this one to you guys, because I've been talking about it quite a bit, and even if you are assembling your own AR from parts like this, I don't think I've really seen any companies that have not made great stuff, to be honest. Like, even though this is this retro style equipment, and they're probably bringing this stuff out of forges and things, and they haven't used for years, but I haven't noticed any quality issues at all whatsoever, including the H&R stuff from PSA. And people who know me know my feelings about PSA, so I'm glad the H&R side of the house is still, quality product for what you pay. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that, and yeah, that should wrap up my full-length rifle clones, if you will. But yeah, next I'll probably try to do some more of the old retro stuff, maybe like a 723, some of the more carbine style guns, you know, just because they're cool and they're fun to shoot. And honestly, they figured out a lot of this stuff way back when, like years ago. And we're merely just improving, iteratively on the concept of these guns now. So nothing new under the sun, of course, as the saying goes. But anyway, that's all I gotta say about this particular A2 upper. So if you guys are thinking about getting an A2 upper versus an A1 or maybe even A4, man, that's a hard choice to make. But I think it boils down a lot to what do you want out of it, what do you think looks cool, and I guess what do you plan to do with it? I guess would be probably the last question I would ask. They're all functional rifles, definitely, but you know, I really do think these retro ARs are kind of going more for an aesthetic than performance. But you know, still, you can still absolutely perform with these. I mean, they served as the main service rifles for a very long time for a reason. That's because they work and they are good pieces of kit. So anyway, all that being said, we'll catch you guys next time.